Hey guys, it's Haley, and today's video is going to be a comparison of a bunch of palettes that are similar in some sort of way, and it's basically I don't know what I'm going to call this, but like cranberry slash burgundy type palettes. So I was going to compare the Modern Renaissance to this NYX Ultimate Basics and the Smashbox Ablaze palette, and then I acquired many palettes that companies have been coming out with that are just this type of shadow, and there's so many more that I don't even have in this video. And I feel like the makeup industry right now is just coming out with all of these like burgundy cranberry tone eyeshadow palettes, and it's just, there's so many and I can't even keep up with it. I've just kept adding on to this video, and that's why it's taken so long for me to make this. And I could even add other palettes in that I have. Like I could, for example, add the Jaclyn Hill palette into this video, and I may do that, I don't know. But every palette that's coming out is these warm tone shades, and there's nothing wrong with that. Warm tones are awesome, but I just know that it can be a little bit like which one to go for, you know what I mean? So we're just gonna talk about some of these palettes today. So the first one that we're gonna talk about is the Modern Renaissance. Everyone loves this. This is like the ride or die palette of YouTube. It comes with, this is the Anastasia palette. This is $42. It comes with 14 shades. So when I was comparing these a long time ago, I started writing out this little paper with notes on it, and I put that I thought this one was the softest and the most buttery shadows. This one is also cruelty free, and that's something I really like, that these are cruelty free. The thing about this palette is, I've talked about this before on my channel, and I'm just not inspired by it. I don't know why. I just don't love this palette like everyone else does. I don't love, like, I don't reach for it. I don't see the hype in it. Like, it's a good palette and the quality is good, so I can understand that, but I just don't love it. It's like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, it's a good quality palette, and the shadows are really pretty, and they're pigmented, and they're blendable. I just don't love this palette for some reason. It just doesn't inspire me, and I have other palettes that I much prefer. So that's just my 2 cents on it. This palette is $42, I may have said that, so it is kind of expensive, but not as bad as some of the other high-end palettes that I have here. So while the quality of this is really good, this just isn't my go-to for warm tone shades. The next one is this Smashbox Ablaze palette. I really enjoy this palette. This is like a more compact version of the Modern Renaissance palette. I would say this is like the Modern Renaissance without the kind of neutral shades in it. So this one is $29, and you get 8 shades, and these are what they look like. Smashbox is also a cruelty-free brand. Also, the packaging is really cute on this. I really enjoy the packaging. I don't know why I like that holographic packaging, but I really do. This is really, really good for travel. That's something I really enjoy about this palette. I think you're not getting as good of a bang for your buck, but if you want something, like, you have neutrals and you're not wanting to spend as much actual money, this is $29. It's got really pretty colors. You may have the other neutrals in your collection already, and I really enjoy this palette. I reach for this more than my Anastasia one, honestly. I like it a lot. I think the shade selection of these are really good. I really enjoy this warm tone, like orange shade. I feel like it has a lot in here for the fact that it has 8 shades, so I enjoy this a lot. So the next one I have is this NYX Ultimate Basics palette in the shade Warm Neutrals. Now, I'm not sure if I did a video where I compared these. I know I compared them somewhere, and I will link it if I have it, but whenever I was going through this NYX Ultimate Basics palette, I found a lot of shades were very similar to the Modern Renaissance. Like, whenever I swatched them side by side, they were identical, if not just really similar. This one is $17.99 and it has 16 shades. This is the most affordable palette that I'm going to be talking about today, and I think if you are wanting to start out with warm tone shades, this is a really good palette to go to. This is also a cruelty-free palette. It's really good for travel. I think the quality of these are really good for, especially for a drugstore product. I think the quality is there, and you also get the you know, warm tone cranberry shades, but you also get the neutrals down here. So I think this is a really good dupe for the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Like, they have some really similar shades, and I think if you're on a budget and you want some of those really cute looks that are very warm tone and burgundy, this is a really good palette to go for. Now next, this is one I don't have anything written down on because this was one I was adding on to this video. This came out just recently. This is the Urban Decay Naked Heat. This one's $54 and has 12 shades in it, so not as good of a value compared to the Modern Renaissance. And here's what I'll say about this palette. I really enjoy this as a naked palette. I think that the Naked line has a lot of palettes that don't have very many mattes, and that's something that I just really did not like about the Naked palettes. And I feel like this palette, Urban Decay, heard their audience and they said, okay, we're gonna add some more mattes in these palettes. And the matte formula in this is phenomenal. I really enjoy it. The shade Cayenne right here, I would say, is my favorite shade in the palette. It's so beautiful. I also enjoy the shade En Fuego right here. And just the mattes in this palette are just so beautiful, so blendable. I also love the shade He Devil, which is this one right here. And I love the mattes in this palette. I think they're so good. And what I don't like about this palette are the shades Dirty Talk and Scorched right here are just very similar, and like, you don't need both of those shades in this palette. And then Lumber was the shimmer that I was very excited for, and then it just did not perform how I wanted it to. So I think that if you're a matte lover, this is a really good palette for you because the mattes in this palette are great. I just don't love the shimmers because two of them are very similar. Lumber is just not that good. I haven't used Ember yet, which is this deepest one here. Ounce is really good. I really enjoyed that they did two of the same, like they did a shimmery like white color and then they did a matte one. I really enjoy when palettes do that. But in general, I think it depends on what you are looking for. I really enjoy this palette. I think it's really good. I love the mattes in it, but I don't love the shimmers. Next is one that I love, and I really enjoy this palette, but I know a lot of people are just not interested in this palette at all because of how expensive it is, but I wanted to throw it in here anyway because I really enjoy this palette, and I made a video on it that I will link if you are interested in a more in-depth video on this. But this is the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, and let me tell you, this is $129 for 15 shades. This is the most expensive palette I'm going to be talking about in this video, / the most expensive palette that I own. I love this palette though. I think the quality is great. I don't have any trouble with fallout like some of the other Natasha Denona palettes have. Like, I know the Star palette, people have had trouble with like a lot of fallout. This one I do not have that. The shades in here are just so stunning. I know they just came out, ColourPop just came out with a palette called like the Yes Please palette that people are saying this is a dupe for. So if you're interested in these colors, maybe try that if you aren't willing to spend the money on this, because I know it is very expensive. One thing that is awesome about this is it has a big mirror on this side, and I love the metallic shades in these. They're so intense, they're so beautiful, and the mattes, they just blend out like a dream. It also has this beautiful yellow tone, this yellow shade that I haven't seen in many other palettes. So I'm gonna not speak long about this palette because I do have a video on it already, and I know some people just may not even be interested in this because it is so expensive. But if you are interested in this palette, the quality is there, it's beautiful, and I totally recommend it. I love this palette, and it's probably honestly my favorite warm tone palette here, even though I spent a lot of money on it. I think that the quality is there. For example, some of these other palettes, it's far superior than this NYX one. And I like this way more than the Anastasia one. And if you like the Anastasia Modern Renaissance, you may not feel like you need this, but I just felt like whenever I had the Modern Renaissance, it was just lacking for me, and this is the one I prefer. So, and then the last one I have to talk about today is the by Voss Holy Grail palette. This one I really enjoy, and I actually enjoy this one more than the Modern Renaissance palette. I'd say the quality is a little bit different, but I just enjoy the shades better. It has a lot of really beautiful just neutral shades down here, and then just some great pretty, like very pretty cranberries. And I may just sound crazy, because for some reason I'm not drawn to the Anastasia one, and these may look so similar, but I really enjoy the shade Cool Beans right here. It's just very beautiful. And I also love the shade Toffee here. I enjoyed that they had, again, the matte white shade and then the shimmery one. Ploof is really pretty, same with Awesome Sauce. Hashtag is so beautiful. Like, whenever I go through this palette, I can tell you all the shades that I think are so beautiful. This palette, oh, by the way, this one is cruelty free as well. I think everything I'm talking about in this video is cruelty free. Violet Voss is cruelty free. Has a huge mirror that's awesome. This is $45 and it has 20 shades, so I think it's a good value. I know some people, there's a little bit of controversy around this palette because it's made in China, like Morphe is, and you're paying $45 for a palette that is made in China, and I know some people have like a deal with that and they don't want to spend the money on it. And there are some exact dupes of the Morphe 350 in here, but I really enjoyed this palette. This isn't the one I reached to the most out of all of these, but if you're interested in this palette, I think that the quality is a little bit better than Morphe. I don't think they're the exact same, but I enjoy them, and I don't really have a problem with Morphe shadows. I enjoy those as well. So which one do I think is the best? I honestly feel like I enjoy the most, what I enjoy is the Urban Decay Naked Heat, because I really love the quality of the mattes in this palette. And then I also, my other favorite is the Natasha Denona palette, and if you are not interested in this price, there are other palettes you can go for, but I just wanted to tell you what my favorites were out of this bundle. And you know what, if you have other favorites, that's your prerogative. There's nothing wrong with that. I know some people just ride or die for the modern renaissance, and that's great for them. It's just not my favorite, so, and it's not because there's anything wrong with it. Like, the shadows are good, the quality is good, it's just, I'm just not drawn to it, and I don't know why. So, thank you for watching. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed this video or if it was helpful to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!